After landing the 5th pick in the NBA draft, the Detroit Pistons have a tough decision to make. There's about 6 to 7 prospects who could hear their name called this month, so I'm going to give my quick thoughts on each of them. Once it was known the squad would pick 5, a lot of fans decided Jaden Ivey and Shaedon Sharpe were the main 2 to look at. But Pistons beat writers James Edwards and Omar Sankofa both are hinting at a 2-man race, but instead of Jaden Ivey, the race is between Keegan Murray and once again Shaedon Sharpe. So what should we make of this reporting? Well, for starters, because both active Pistons beat writers are reporting this, it seems less like a smokescreen and more like brace for impact. This also shows the Pistons are looking at the best player available over fit, which is why Murray and Sharpe seem to have the edge over Ivey at the moment. Look at it this way, Ivey would come in and basically replace Killian Hayes in the Pistons lineup. This would be a big change as Kill is a pure point guard, meaning he's looking to create offense for others, while Ivey is a combo guard whose main focus is scoring and he can play make on the side. Listen to this clip from ESPN's draft analyst Mike on Jaden Ivey.
All the guys look up to Cade Cunningham, and he's a guy who's going to call over the huddle and he's going to get guys together. The Ivey's that's not as much in his nature. Like, he was more of a scorer coming up, even in high school. You know, I did a sit down with him at Purdue this year, and I was like talking about his pick and roll reads and all this stuff. He's like, I asked, did you ever play point guard in high school? He's like, I didn't even think about passing. He's like, I was just trying to get buckets. And I think that's more in his nature.
That mindset isn't going to work when we have Cade, Sadiq, and Jerami who all need the ball. Now with that said, I'm sure Ivey could adjust to playing with this lineup, but Dwayne Casey would bench him a lot due to turnovers and his defensive lapses. Sticking with Killian Hayes will work better since the Pistons have already invested time and resources into his development. Now on to the frontrunners, Murray and Sharpe. I feel like if Keegan Murray was a younger prospect, he would have a case for being that first pick, while Shaedon Sharpe could end up being the best player if put in the right situation. Both of these players could be plugged into our starting 5 if Jerami Grant is moved. Murray would just straight up replace Jerami at the 4 spot. That would give the Pistons more rebounding. Also, Murray has the mentality of a role player, so he would be cool with letting the offense come to him. Moving on to Sharpe, who could start at small forward while Sadiq moves to the 4. We've seen Bey play a lot of power forward this season, and other forwards struggle to guard him. That would let the Skywalker Shaedon Sharpe come off screens and make cuts to the basket. Plus, Kill and Cade would get another lob threat. On to Bennedict Mathurin, who I wasn't a big fan of, but that said, if he turns out that I was wrong about who he is, which I doubt, then his fit would be a C in that case. He's a good shooter and rebounder. What he lacks is shot creating, which makes him a taller Frank Jackson. Here's the perspective you should have. We watched Sadiq Bey lead the Pistons to wins while Jerami and Cade were out. Now in those games, replace Bey with Mathurin, Murray, or Sharpe. Whichever one of these 3 you envision getting the win would be the 5th pick. Last topic I wanted to discuss were the prospects who may be out of the running. Starting with Dyson Daniels, who hasn't been linked to the Pistons at all. Outside of Banchero, the best passer is Daniels, but I think he's in the same boat as Ivey, where the Pistons are not looking for a guard. Another name that comes up is AJ Griffin, who's the best shooter in the draft, but he had sprains in both knees, which has limited him defensively. Then finally, we have Jalen Duren, whose stock is falling fast. What's the reason for that? Well, Duren skipped the draft combine altogether. Usually only the top 5 players do this, but in Duren's case, he's not that guy. The combine is a place to show off a player's offensive skills. Duren skipping that confirms what most knew. He's a one-dimensional player. As of right now, my Pistons Big Board looks like this. Keegan Murray at 1, Shaedon Sharpe at 2, Bennedict Mathurin at 3, Jaden Ivey at 4, Johnny Davis at 5, Dyson Daniels at 6, AJ Griffin at 7, and Jalen Duren at 8. Of course, if Chet, Jabari, or Banchero fall to 5, then they take priority. At the end of the day, it's looking like Troy Weaver believes in the Kill-a-Cade backcourt. I look back at the Toronto game where Kill hit 2 threes and busted out the arrow celebration. That led to Cade having all the space in the world to slice up Toronto's defense. So keeping the continuity will work in the long run. I'll end on Jerami Grant, who I doubt will be traded to the Trailblazers. Jerami doesn't want to go there, and I doubt Troy Weaver is interested in the 7th pick in Eric Bledsoe. Like I said in the news video, other teams have better offers at this point. Weaver stated there can't be too many young players on the roster, so it's more likely Grant gets traded for another NBA vet plus a late 1st round pick. The Hawks, Spurs, and Bulls can all make that type of offer. And that wraps up this video. Whether the Pistons select Shaedon Sharpe or Keegan Murray, we should be good. I'll do a full video on a Jerami Grant trade here soon. Also, my breakdown of Keegan Murray is on the way. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to see more Pistons content. That's it for me. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.